As a warm-up for our last lesson, Module 5, Lesson 7, we have 2 problems left to do, and they happen to be the same kind of problems. So I'm going to do the first one with you, and then I'm going to have you shut off your video and you do the second one, just to make sure you got it. This is a very, very common type, and you've seen that we've done some in the past, so I don't think this is going to be a big surprise, but I'll model one and then you do your own. So a certain utility company, oh, and this is page 6 of the practice test, the very last page, last 2 problems. So a certain utility company charges $18 per month for service plus $1.05 per therm. That's the unit by which natural gas is measured. The Thomas family had a bill of $136.65. So my first thing would be to underline the key sentences that I know that I'm going to be representing later on or use in my equation. Define a variable and write an equation that could be used to determine the number of therms. So that right there tells you what your variable is going to be. I'm trying to determine the total number of therms used last month by the Thomas family. So seems like T would be good, whether it's for total or therms. Good for both. So total number of therms used. Okay, now we have to write an equation, and that is where, so what they asked for always gives you your variable statement. Then you go back to the original problem and do your direct translations, which we're so good at now. So $18 per month, and this is only for 1 month, so I don't have to put an M in there, plus $1.05 per, and now everywhere we see therm, we write T. So 18 plus $1.05 T. And that's going to be equal to the total charge, which was $136.65. So $18 a month plus $1.05 times each therm will give us a total bill of $136.65. And so let's start off. I'm going to just flip the equation around when I write it here, just so my T's on the left. So $1.05 T plus 18 equals 136.65. And then it's just a simple little 2-step equation to solve. Subtract 18, subtract 18, and 18's decimals there. And we get $1.05 times each therm equals 118.65, because 36 minus 18 is 18, but let's verify it with the calculator. There's so many times when I see students do something like that in their head, and I just think, oh, I wish they would have checked it, because everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. So it's always good, especially on a test, to back it up. 136.65 minus 18, 118.65. And then last, plus we'll have the 118.65 already entered in our calculator, and we won't have to type it again for this last step. So the opposite of times $1.05 is divide by $1.05. So that's gone, and we get T equals 118.65 is already there, so just hit divided by $1.05. 113, and then I look up and say, what is T? Oh, T's therms. And you always label your variable before you write your sentence, because that's how you're going to write your sentences, using that information. So the Thomas family used 113 therms last month. So again, I pull from the reading and then tie this in with it. So the Thomas family used 113 therms. Oh, gee, wow, spelled it wrong. Therms last month. And that's it. Don't have to be any more explanatory than that. Actually, I don't like how that looks. I'm going to fix it. Therms. Okay, so you ready to do one on your own now that you got one under your belt? Nice and easy. I love these kind of problems because I think they're nice, they're straightforward, they practice your translation skills. Just good overall problems. Okay, so go ahead and shut off your video and do this one on your own, all by yourself. This will kind of be your guide. Am I ready for this kind of problem on the test? Because there is one like this on the test. 1/3 of the test is word problems. So by doing it on your own, getting the answer right, best way to know if you're ready. And I'm going to make it a little teeny bit smaller just so we can see all the pieces of it. Okay, so there we go. Go ahead and work on that one and come back when you're done. Okay, so let's see how you did. So Charlie is a concrete truck driver. His truck weighs 22,500 pounds when it is empty, no concrete. Charlie knows that each cubic yard of concrete weighs 3,200 pounds. When he pulls his loaded truck onto the scale, it weighs 49,380. So can you see how it's just like the last problem? This is the beginning, just like the service charge of $18. So this is what his truck weighs, plus 3,200 pounds per cubic yard. So 22,500 plus 3,200 pounds for each cubic yard. And we know the total weight, total is telling us to add, is this. So let's just underline all the important stuff here. So his truck weighs this, each cubic yard weighs this, and his truck weighs this when he goes in. So we need to figure out how many cubic yards of concrete Charlie's truck is carrying. So define a variable that could be used to determine the number of cubic yards. So that's how you know what the variable is going to be. It's what you're trying to find. So we could use C, we could use, C is probably the best since it's cubic and it's concrete. So C equals cubic yards of concrete. So they usually tell you what the variable statement is. You just have to write it down. So we have our variable. It stands for concrete. The units are cubic yards. So it has all three pieces that a variable statement needs. Now we can write our equation. So the weight of the truck plus 3,200 pounds per cubic yard, that's C, is going to give us a total weight of 49,380 pounds. So his truck plus the concrete, and it's 3,200 pounds for every cubic yard he has, give us a total of 49,380. So again, I'm going to flip this one around when I go down here to rewrite it. So 3,200C plus 22,500 equals 49,380. And then it's just a simple little two-step problem. Subtract 22,500 to get all the non-variables to the right. And so we have 3,200C equals, and we could do that by hand, but we got to divide by 3,200 on the next step anyway, so why not just plug it in? So 49,380 minus 22,500. And always look at your screen before you, and you can go back and look at the very beginning. So 49,380 minus 22,500 to make sure you typed it in correctly. So 26,880. And then we divide both sides by 3,200, and we already have our 26,880 in the calculator, so all we have to do is divide it by 3,200. And that gives us 8.4. So C equals 8.4. And this is why we write variable statements. I don't have to sit and go, oh, what am I going to write for that? What does C represent? Cubic yards of concrete. So isn't that nice when you have everything right there at your fingertips? You don't have to go back and reread the problem and try to figure it out. You have it right there. And that's why the first step of every word problem is writing that variable statement. So cubic yards can be written like this too. It's a little bit shorter. Cubic yards of concrete. Or you could write it in words. Doesn't really matter. And we could put that symbol up there too to remind ourselves it's the same. Yards cubed, cubic yards, same. Now that we have our answer labeled, now we can go ahead and answer the question. Determine the number of cubic yards of concrete that are in Charlie's truck. So Charlie's truck is pulling, I don't know, carrying? Would that be a good word? Carrying? Is loaded. There's a good one. Charlie's truck is loaded and I like that you can just use your original problem to get your wording for this. Is loaded, because I'm not a very good wordsmith, with 8.4 cubic yards of concrete. And if you really wanted to check your work, you could do his original truck, 22,500. Whoops, 1 too many, Kim. So DEL's delete, plus 8.4, and each cubic yard they said weighed, what was it, 3,200 pounds. So times 3,200. And cross your fingers, you should get that number. Ding, 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 ding. We did. Nice, huh? Okay, so that's it for the practice test. And because we're getting ready to take the test, this is your last unit, I want to remind you the reason we did this practice test at the beginning of each section is so you would have something to study for the test. So there's two things you should do to get ready for tests. Make sure you do all your topics in ALEKS, and the due dates are right on the home page of Canvas. So keep up on those topics. And when I'm teaching an in-person class, I split it up into how many topics they have to do each day. So you can do that too. You can say, oh, I have 32 topics due on Monday, and I have 4 days I can work this week. So I'm going to do 8 the first day, 8 the second, 8 the third, 8 the fourth. So you could split it up like that. That's what I do with the in-person students, because I see them and can tell them that. But I would do the same thing. Just look on Canvas, see when your next assignment's due. Excuse me. And then split it up by how many days you have to work on it. And that's how many topics you need to master each day in ALEKS. So after you finish your topics, this is perfect. There is an answer key for this, which you don't need because we finished it in class. There's videos for this on your Canvas homepage. So if there's anyone you're not quite sure about and you want to watch a video, you can watch a video of another teacher explaining it. But between those two things, you should be ready for your tests, because all your test questions come from the practice test and your homework. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the first page of lesson 7, which is a really quick page. And then on the next video, the back is quite a few word problems. So that one will take a little bit longer, but we're just going to do the first page. So this is under what date? What date? Lesson 7 under the 24th. So 2/24 is where you will find lesson 7 at. And this is test week, so you just have one lesson to learn, this one, and the rest of the week is spent preparing for your test, finishing your topics, and reviewing your practice test. So since we have done all of this, this is kind of just a review before we do the word problems on the back. I'm going to let you guys do them 2 at a time. So let's go ahead and do the first 2. Like I said, you should know how to do every one of these. We've already done these millions of times in this chapter, just kind of a review to get you ready for the last 4 word problems we're going to do this chapter. And then shut off your video, come back, we'll check those 2, and then I'll let you, if you want to do all 4 of them, you can, but I'll give you time again to do those after we check these. Okay, so see you back in a bit. Okay, we got one of our key words. Remember, you have it in your first packet of notes. Yes, sum means add, difference means subtract, product means multiply, quotient means divide. And whenever we have one of those 4 words, we immediately circle and, so we know what goes in front of the plus sign and what goes after the plus sign. So in front of the plus sign is just a number. And remember, ALEKS is gonna, let's say, use C as your variable. ALEKS is always going to give you a statement telling you what to use. Use C as your variable. So C plus 7. So C plus 7. Oh, you guys are very familiar with this. If the 3 words are all in a row with no interruption, that means it's the inequality symbol. So is less than 6. So C plus 7 is less than, make the L symbol, 6. And it doesn't ask us to solve, so it's just a translation. So I bet everyone got that one right. This one is a little, it's kind of mixing up a couple things that we've done, putting them together in a problem, and I love it. Anytime you read the word opposite, that means there's a negative in front. So this could be read the opposite of x. This could be read the opposite of 3. We usually call that -3, but it could be read the opposite of 3 because the opposite of 3 is -3. So anytime I see that word opposite, especially with a variable, it just means a negative is in front. So here's those 5 words we were talking about before. Remember how it said 3 times the difference? This is the opposite, and remember how we learned of means times? So this is what you should write when you see those 5 words. Opposite must have parentheses because difference is 2 terms. Difference means subtraction, put it inside. So the word opposite translates as a negative, and then difference, of course, is subtraction. So just from reading 1, 2, 3, those 5 words, this is what you should come up with. And you've done ones like this before, except they said 3 times the difference, and we put the 3 in front with the minus. Opposite just means a negative, which we know actually is a 1 there. We don't need to put it in because this is just a translation. Okay, and because difference is one of the operator words, we look for and. Number, let's have this number be in. In equals the number. Because Alex is always going to give it to you, so I want to make sure you're always looking for that. A number, so in, and is the subtraction sign. 11 is after the subtraction. Is greater than or equal to. See how there's no interruption there? Is greater than or equal to. So greater than or equal to. 2 times the sum. So I love this problem. This is a great one. So 2 times the sum. So those 4 words give you that. Because sum is a quantity, so it needs to be in parentheses. And I will tell you the most missed thing on these every semester is students forget the parentheses. When it says 2 times the sum or 2 times the difference, that's 2 things inside there. So you have to have parentheses. And, excuse me, and in front of and is the number, and we said to use in, and then 5. So all the things we've used in the past, great little problem. Love it. Love it, love it. And it doesn't say to simplify, so we're just done. Okay, so shut off your video one more time and work on these 2 and see if you can get them perfect. And there's opposite of 3 again. Okay, here goes our direct translation. 12 is greater than. Anytime those 3 words are all together with no number in between any of them, we put exactly what symbol it says. 12 is greater than. The opposite, I just told you on the last problem, the minute you see opposite, you put a minus sign. Of 3 times the difference. There it is again. I love this paper. This is a great little practice before the test because it's concentrating on all the stuff students miss. So 3, and it's times the difference. So you need parentheses with the subtraction sign. And let's call x equals the number on this one. So x goes before the and 1 is after the and, so x is before the equals or minus, and 1 is after. So how did everybody do on that? I hope okay. And last but not least, 5 minus a number. So what should we call the number? Let's call the number K. Because Alex picked some weird letters. So 5 minus a number, so 5 minus K is less than or equal to, no numbers in between, so that's our less than that looks like an L, or equal to 9 times the number. And you could just put 9K or 9 times K, it doesn't matter which one, both are correct. So that was a great, great, great review of our translations right before the test. Love it. Okay, on the next video, then we will do the last page of your notes for Module 5. So I'll see you back.